Avinash Foundation welcomes all of you for this meeting on improving memory for children. I am happy to welcome all of you. I request the speaker, Dr. Balachandran, to introduce himself and continue his speech. Thank you.
Okay, my full name is Balachandran. I was born on November 6, 1946, so I'm now in my 73rd year. I did my high school in all my education in Coimbatore. I went to suburban high school in town in Ramnagar. After that, I did PUC in the PLG Arts College. Went to CIT for my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. I had the BE degree with honors with the third rank in the university in 1968. At that time, there was only one university for the entire state of Madras. That was the University of Madras. There were 5 engineering colleges. So I'm proud that I was able to secure third rank in the university. After my bachelor's degree, I went to Bangalore to the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. I did my master's degree in aeronautical engineering with specialization in rockets and missiles. After that, I went to ISRO or ISRO, worked with Dr. Kalam on the satellite launch vehicle project. In the SLV-3 rocket, there are 3 stages, first stage, second stage, and third stage. Followed by that, there is another stage that launches the satellite. Between each stage, there is an interstage structure that houses the separation system and also the control system. I designed those interstages, and I also fabricated them in all the HAL units. HAL units are located in Koraput, Nasik, Kanpur, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. So I was manufacturing those in those places. So whatever I designed and manufactured were used to launch the first Indian satellite in 1978. I left ISRO in 1974. I went to US to do my doctoral degree in industrial engineering. So I have a PhD in industrial engineering. I got my degree here from Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, and I also taught there for 10 years before I moved to University of Wisconsin in 1985. And I retired in 2015 after 30 years of service at University of Wisconsin. And while working there, I also started my own consulting company. My consulting company is known as Process Improvement, and I have more than 20,000 hours of paid consulting work for companies, attorneys, and also state and private agencies as well. And I have 2 sons. One is 45 years old. The other one is 40 years old. The eldest son is a physician, MD, in US. They were all born and raised in US. He has twin daughters, 5 years old. My younger son has a PhD in chemical engineering, and he has 2 sons, aged 5 and 3. I'm going to stop for a short time and see whether that's good enough or you want to know something more. If you have any questions, you are welcome to ask.
Sir, can you tell us your association with Abdul Kalam?
Okay, Abdul Kalam was the project manager for the satellite launch vehicle project, or the SLV-3 project at that time. And I was working directly under him as a project engineer. And as I told you before, I designed those interstage structures. I got them fabricated and so on. So he was a big role model for me at that time. He was not well known, but he had extremely good management skills and was able to get things done by people. That was probably the best thing that I can say about him. But I learned, he also taught me some basic lessons. How to communicate, how to go to meetings prepared, not to go to a meeting without paper and pencil and to take notes and so on. So those are some other basic skills. So I learned a lot of things from him. Anything else? He was a very bold and very innovative manager. He will give you a job, ask you when you will get it done, and once you tell him it will be ready in 3 weeks, he will come back and ask you what you have done. Every week he will ask you what have you done, where are you, what is your progress, and so on. And if you have any delay, you are supposed to report it every week or month. If you don't report anything, then he will ask you, why did you not tell me these problems? Do you have problem with budget or man or some other type of resource you need to complete your project? So he will make sure that things are done on time within budget. Anything else? Any other questions?
How many years you worked with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam?
4 years, 70 to 74. I went to US with study leave, and he was the one who got me my study leave. My father didn't want me to quit the job because it was considered to be a good job. So he wanted me to go on study leave, and Kalam had to certify that my experience or studies in US will be useful to the project. So if he said no, I wouldn't have received my study leave. Anything else? Okay, today I'm going to talk about what I did when I went to school. I told you that I got third rank in the university. That was for a reason. That is because that is related to today's topic. I also secured a high rank in all my studies. In PhD, for example, my grade point average was 4.0 out of 4.0. So 4 out of 4. To do that, I had to practice everything I'm telling you today. Some of them you will see in websites, some of them you won't see, which are things that I devised myself. And I will point out some of those as well. But if you read 10 different books or 20 different books on how to study effectively for exams and tests and so on, or even get a book on how to write the JEET exam for admission to engineering colleges, you will see many of the things that I'm talking to you about. How to study well, how to retain facts, and so on. Now everything depends on the models of memory. There are many different models of memory. The brain research has been done over 100 years or so. In summary, the memory can be divided into two parts: short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory can be subdivided into sensory memory and working memory. Sensory memory can hold information only for about a second or so, that's it. Short-term memory, the working memory, can hold information for a little bit longer time, but not much. So 1 second for sensory memory, about a minute for short-term memory. But long-term memory is infinite in size, and it will last the entire lifetime. For example, there are some English words I learned to write the test of English as foreign language in 1963. I studied for the TOEFL exam for 10 years, from 1962 to 1972. I learned more than probably about 2 million to 10 million words. I didn't even keep track. I read many books on vocabulary, especially the book Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis, and also many other books. Anytime I read a newspaper or a magazine in English, I noted all the words I didn't know about, learned the use of the words. So by 1972, I had a 2-foot high stack of notebooks, 100-page notebooks, 2-foot high. So those are the words I learned over a period of time. But learning words also improves your memory. You will see that in a few minutes. Now, if you take the short-term memory, I told you it can hold only for short-term, 1 minute or so, about 7 to 20 pieces of information. But long-term memory can hold infinite amount of information for entire lifetime. Why? Because the long-term memory is created not in one single place in the brain, but throughout the brain. You have billions of neurons in your brain. And the neurons are connected by a network. So when you have billions of neurons, there are infinite number of networks that can be formed. And that's the reason why brain can hold a lot of information. For example, a typical person like me is using only less than 10 to 20% of the brain. That's it. That's all we are using. So, to improve memory and to study well and to do well in exams and so on, there are two basic things that are needed: time management and willing to pay for your knowledge. Nothing comes easy in the world. You will have to work hard at learning material and retaining material and reviewing material. If you go to companies, for example, periodically there are safety drills. Why? Why do you have to have safety drills every 6 months? How many of you worked in company where all these safety drills were done once in 6 months or a year? Even the siren comes on, tornado siren comes on, and there is a training. That's because if you don't use the knowledge, it decays. There is decay of knowledge, there is a corruption of knowledge, that is distortion of knowledge, there is an interference of the information that you have stored. So periodically it has to be relearned or reinforced. Now all these you have to do well in exams and also retain a lot of information for a long time. And I give you an example. There are things I learned in 1962 and 63, especially the words that I learned from those books and dictionaries I still remember. So coming back to the most important topic for today, the first one I'm going to give you is an example. One way to retain memory or retain things in your brain for a long term or move information to long term is the use of flashcards. These are not flashcards that are used for kindergarten students. These I call as flashcards with a purpose. So I'm going to pass this along. Whatever I told you about short-term memory and long-term memory is here on this sheet of paper. For example, it tells you that short-term memory can hold about 5 to 7 pieces of information for less than 1 second. It shows that for the working memory, it can hold about 20 pieces of information for less than a minute. It tells you that long-term memory is for lifetime and the size is infinity. And there are more details here in this flashcard. Then I'm going to send you another flashcard. This type of flashcard, I trained my students in my classes. I taught for 45 years in US. This is about quality engineering. The first one I have is quality tools, QT it says. There are very few words on this flashcard. If you look at the flashcard for teaching your student numbers, it will have only one information, 1, 2, 3 or alphabets it will have. This is not that flashcard. When I say flashcard, people have wrong meaning. That's the reason why I decided to make a flashcard and show you what I mean by flashcard with a purpose. This is flashcard with a purpose. So I have QT for quality tools. If you take any product like this or anything that you are wearing or any service, the quality problems in products or service arise out of only certain number of factors. The factors are represented by a mnemonic called poem. I don't know whether many of you know what is a mnemonic. Mnemonic can be formed by using the first letter of words or in any other form. For example, most people in India remember the colors of a rainbow by using the word Vibgayar or Vibjayar. That's the rainbow colors in reverse order. But if you go to US and ask a young student like her, how do you remember the colors of a rainbow? That person will tell the name of a person, Roy, R-O-Y, with a middle initial and a last name. Roy B. J. That's what he will tell. R-O-Y, red, orange, yellow, that's what it stands for. So the mnemonic in different countries is different. It depends on what you want to learn. In this case, I have a mnemonic called poem. P is raised to the power 5, and M I didn't raise it to power, but M is raised to the power 3. P refers to people, policy, procedures, and so on. So quality problems or any problem in service may arise out of these: people, policy, procedures, and so on. O for operator, E for environment. For example, if you are in the business of making computer chips, you have to control the humidity also. If you are in the business of making film or any memory device, computer has got many different types of memory devices. You have the SD card, memory cards, and so on. If you are in the business of manufacturing those type of memory chips, you have to control the temperature, humidity, and so on. That's the environment we are talking about. And the last one is M for man, machines, methods, and so on. So poem refers to all the reasons why quality problems can happen, and you analyze them by using what is known as root cause analysis. So I have information about quality engineering in flashcard form. And I talked about long-term memory, and long-term memory is of many different types. I'm not going to go through them. But if you are a medical student, you want to remember something about the different types of memory and so on, you will make a tree diagram like this. Your picture is worth 1,000 words. So the flashcards will not have sentences. It will have diagrams, charts, mnemonics, and so on, which are memory aids. So this is another flashcard. There are many different theories of brain, and I have summarized 3 different theories of brain. If you make a flashcard like this with a purpose, remember that I went to school here. I lived in Truscott Road, Gandhipuram. It took me about anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes for the bus to go from my house to the college. What do you do when you travel like that?
Feel tired.
Pardon?
Feel tired.
But you are wasting your time, you are not using your time. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You cannot retain things if you waste your time. So in my case, every day I traveled, I had 20 of these sheets with me. In 20 sheets, I can summarize 10 chapters of a particular book. I will keep it like this. I'll be talking to him, he's my friend, but I'll be looking at this. I'm doing my own work. I'm reviewing my material that day. Okay, so every day I'm reviewing the material, morning 1 hour, evening 1 hour. That means by the time I walk into exam hall, I have reviewed a chapter a few hundred times. But they are all not in sentences and words, they are all in codes. It's my own code. Nobody else will understand what I have on the QT. I had a page, a flashcard with a purpose that talked about quality engineering. Nobody else will know what I mean by those. Only I will know. It's my own mnemonic that I understand. Okay? So the entire chapter is summarized in this, and I'm reviewing this many times. I'm reviewing it when I'm traveling. I'm going to say this, I don't mind if it's put on YouTube. I put this in the mirror when I brush my teeth. I did it when I was a student. I have this with me when I'm sitting on the toilet seat. It's a waste of time. I can review the whole sheet in a few minutes. Because if I have read it 10 times, it takes me 2 minutes to review the whole sheet. You can agree, right? If I have already read this 100 times, it takes me less than half a minute for me to review this. These are the things that you have to do to move information from short-term memory to long-term memory. You will see that the information goes from short-term memory to long-term memory through rehearsal, through repetition. I'm going to tell you 2 R's right now. Rehearsal and repetition. We are going to come through some more things. But rehearsal and repetition, I'm not talking about once, I'm not talking about twice, I'm not talking about 10 times, I'm not talking about 100 times, I'm talking about 1,000 times. before the year is over. So this is the use of flashcards that will hold 5 pounds of weight. Now they have to apply a lot of different things to make that structure. So think about it in very different ways, many different ways. That is having different perspective. Like if this object is there, for example, if something falls on the floor, how will you locate it? Let's assume that you are changing the strap for a watch. There is a pin, spring-loaded pin that falls on it. How will you look at it? How will you locate it? If you look at a certain angle, you will not find it. But if you bend down and look at it in a different angle, you will find it. You understand, right? All of you have done that. Something falls on the floor, you look at it straight, you don't see it, but you go move and bend down and look at it in a different angle, you find it. That's what I'm talking about. Look at the same material from a different point of view or a different perspective. How do you do that? There are many ways to do that. I already told you, teach somebody else. Think about it from some teacher's point of view. Read many books on the same topic. Take for example Lalita Sahasranam, a simple example. You read the book by one author, they will explain it in a certain way. Read another book on the same topic by somebody else, you will find something new or a different explanation. Same thing about physics or chemistry or anything else. They will explain it in a different way using different words and sentences. Now you are looking at the familiar material from a different perspective. That also moves the information from short-term memory to long-term memory. And the long-term memory, if you develop like that, it cannot be erased. It will be there for a long time. So cramming for exam the day before the exam or even 2 days before the exam is not going to help. The only thing that are going to help are time. Moving information from short-term memory to long-term memory is dependent on time and consolidation. Right now I'm telling you the various ways of consolidation. Study class notes, books and so on. Close your eyes, lie down and think about it. Think about the important things. If you have equations or formula, write them many times, important formula. There are formulas that are extremely important when you learn differential equations or physics and so on, or motion of fluids, motion of air, for example, aerodynamic equations. For each of them there are important equations. In my days we were not allowed to take anything into the exam hall. It was a 3-hour exam on each topic. All the exams were in 1 week at the end of the year. If you were sick for 1 week, during the exam you lost 1 year. Your entire grade was determined by 1 3-hour exam at the end of the year. So it is necessary for you to be not only having good memory but also good health. Sound body and mind, both you need. So one way to improve your memory is to exercise, walk a lot, play different things, not one activity but many different activities. For example, to keep the body in shape, you need 3 or 4 different type of activities. You need weight-bearing activities to improve the muscle and the bone. That's the only way you can improve the bone and prevent bone loss. As you age, there is a bone loss. Okay, to prevent or slow that down, you have to do weight-bearing exercises. You can see that if somebody has a broken arm or leg, if it's in a cast for 2 weeks or so, you will see that when the cast is removed, the muscle has lost its strength. So the word is, use it or lose it. You use it or lose it with your bones, muscles and also your brain. You use it or lose it. If you don't use your brain, your memory capacity is going to keep on decreasing and ultimately you are going to have dementia problem. There was a question about it at the beginning of the talk. Set up the test you studied for, I already talked about it. Work out between study exercises. Study for 1 or 2 hours but take a break, go for a walk or do exercises. You can do a lot of exercises while sitting. I don't know how many of you know about acupressure. Acupressure is an exercise that you can do with your hands. இது பண்ணாக்க கையை பசையாத அப்படிம்பாங்க. This is a good exercise. If you read an acupressure book, this is an extremely good exercise. There are connections from your hand and also your foot to various organs in your body. If you read a book on acupressure, you will see the reason for all these. So this is one exercise that you can do, improves your blood circulation as well. This one here, and then hold here. So everything, all the things here, all these are acupressure. You can do that with your foot also. You can also do this. I hope all of you are able to see what I'm doing. I'm raising, it's called the abdominal lift. And also eye yoga. I don't know whether you have seen, you can book, if you go to your bookstore, you can buy a 15-page book written by one of the institutes in Bangalore. It's called eye yoga. You move your eyes in different patterns. Left, right, up, down, diagonal, and then this diagonal, clockwise rotation and counterclockwise rotation. I do them every time at night. I also do them every time in the morning. If I'm...
I also do it.
You do that? Okay, that's good for you. And everybody who is wearing glasses should be doing that. Otherwise you are going to have your eye problem by the time you reach my age. I'm 73 by the way. Remember that you have only two eyes. If you lose them, you are not going to get any more eyes. You have to learn to keep what you have in good health. So you can buy the book. I have the book. I have bought that book. Okay? Eye yoga, that's what it is called. And she has that. Who else practices here? 1 out of 20. Pardon? You practice that too. Okay, that.
Acupressure also.
Pardon?
Acupressure too.
You do. Okay, there is nothing bad that's going to happen if you do it. Whether you believe it or not, if you do that, you are not going to damage your hand, right? There is no negative effect of doing this. So why not do it? If you are going to sit and lock, for example, all of you are sitting, if you don't like what I am talking, instead of getting bored, you can do this. Yeah, instead of sleeping, you can do that. Or you can close your eyes and do your eye exercise. This is what I meant by not wasting your time. Use your time in a way that you think is useful to you. What is useful to you may be waste of time for me. And what is useful to me will be waste of time for you. So you will have to find how to effectively use your time. So there are a lot of different exercises like this. For example, how many of you stand in queue? How many hours you waste in queue? Give me an estimate per month. Train stations, bus stations, waiting for at the gate in the airport, waiting for bus, right? So what do you do? Tell me what you do when you are waiting. You are wasting your time. Tell me what you do. All of you, it's open now.
I read books. That means I take.
Okay, read books. What else? What else can you do?
I play video games.
Pardon?
I play video games. Games.
Games. That's a waste of time in my opinion. It may be not waste of time for you. In my opinion, it's a waste of time. Unless you are playing brain games. I told you there are games in the computer for improving memory. They are called brain games. Okay. What else? You know what I do? I do exercises. Many different. I have hundreds of exercises I do. Can you see what I am doing? Toe raise. It improves your calf muscles. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but I'm going to do this. Foot rotation clockwise and counterclockwise. How about this? Can you see what I'm doing? I'm standing on one leg. If I'm wearing a vesti or even pant, nobody will know what I'm doing, right? That's one of the best exercises if you're a diabetic. Diabetic people, I'm a diabetic for the last 20 years or so. One of the side effects of diabetics is known as neuropathy. damage of nerves at the extremities of your body, especially foot. I know one of our relatives, he's about 69 years old, 4 years younger than I am, and he has already lost his foot to diabetes. His leg is cut off just below the knee. And if you do these type of exercises, this doctor told me, stand on your foot. He told count to 6 and stand. Right now, I can stand up to 125. When I go to gym, I stand on one leg at a time and for 2 minutes. 2 minutes will be about counting to 125. Same thing with the other leg as well. Also this. Parallel, thigh parallel to the floor. How about this? This is called wall sitting. I can do this for almost 2 minutes. And I can challenge some of the younger people here. I don't think you can do for 2 minutes. You do this and see how your leg muscles are improving. And simple shoulder rotations. Do this and see how refreshed you feel. 20 times this way and 20 times counterclockwise. This. Correct? So all these are all various exercises you can do. Even small amount of exercise secretes those chemicals I told you. That refreshes you. You don't have to take any of the intoxicants or drinks, alcoholic drinks or anything. Your body can create those things for you through exercise. There are also many side effects of exercise, positive ones. You can eat well and you can eat what you want. You can sleep well, and it also improves your memory. Prevents dementia or delays dementia, exercise. It has been medically proven and it's accepted. There are a few more things, so I have a lot more exercises, but I'm not going to go through them. So these things you can do. There's a Pilates ball you can use, resistant bands, and so on. Develop time management skills. Make sure that anytime you do something, you do it right the first time, because I don't have time to repeat something and do something 2 or 3 times. So before I start writing things, even today's talk, I don't know, there is one person here in whose house I prepared all these things. I did the basic website search yesterday, or 2 days ago, and today morning I wrote my notes. I'm going to show you what I did. So I showed you some flashcards. Whatever information you saw in the flashcard this morning, I have page number 1, I have page number 2, like that I have 6 pages. Whatever I told you today, I have it here, I have also in writing. Because I don't want to come here and waste your time for 1 hour by telling you things that you can find somewhere else. For example, moving information from short-term memory to long-term memory by reading many books on the same topic. You will not find it in any website, you will not find it anywhere. That is something that I developed for myself. And I have found that to be very useful. So there are only a few more things that are left. Before the test, review your homework, because the teacher is going to give you 60% of questions to test whether you remember something that you learned in your homework or not. So reviewing homeworks will help you. If you can get sample exam papers, for example, JEET exam or GEAT exam, there are some previous sample exams that are available. You can go to your store and buy a book for any exam you want to write, whether it's GMAT exam or MCAT exam or any other exam you write. There are some books available, and those books have sample question papers. So try to write that exam. Also strategize. For example, if I'm going to university, I'm taking say 5 subjects. There are some subjects that come easily to me. I don't have to study for 10 hours to get 90 out of 100 or 100 out of 100. So I have to study that subject well. I have to know, you have to know how much you have to study each subject to get 90% or more. Some subjects you have to study X amount of time. Some other subjects you have to study 2X or 3X amount of time because that is difficult for you. So that you have to decide yourself. That's what I mean by strategize. You don't blindly study every subject for 1 hour every day. It's a waste of time. If you study every subject 1 hour every day, it's a waste of time. You have to decide what subject you have to study for 1 hour, what you have to study for 2 hours and so on. Strategize for taking test. Before I give an exam, I tell my student there are going to be 10 questions or 6 questions or 15 questions, and I tell them what type of test it's going to be. So you already know how many questions are going to be there. So you don't take the first question you want to answer should be something that you know very well. If there are 10 questions, go to the question that you know very well. If you have 1 hour exam, 10 questions, you have only 6 minutes for each. So in the question that you know very well, try to save as much time as possible. Try to answer it in 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Now you have saved 2 minutes. Like that you do all the things and go finally to the question that you are not sure about. Try to take 6 minutes and complete and do as much as you can for the difficult question. Then go back and check all your answers. Remember, you have already saved some time. Go back to question number 1 and take a minute or half a minute or so to review what you did. Now you will have a little bit more time to come back to the last question. So you will have to develop a strategy for taking the test. So you must have a strategy for studying. You must have a strategy for taking tests as well. Nutrition. Eat well. Eat a lot of fruits. Eat a lot of nuts. Drink a lot of water. Young people don't do that. You need to drink at least 5 to 6 or 10 glasses of water every day if you want your kidney to function well. If you don't drink, you are not only going to have stomach problems, you are going to have major problems when you get old. Listen in class. Use that 50 minutes of class time effectively. If you listen to the teacher, your study time is going to be reduced quite a bit because you understand. Also, before you go to class, review the previous class material before you go to class. That's why these notes are important. I told you these flashcards. These flashcards allow me to review whatever has been reviewed before in the previous lecture. So by the time my bus reaches the college, I have reviewed what was taught before. So I understand very well what is being taught that day. Also read the material that is going to be taught that day ahead of time. So when the lecturer talks about it, you can either ask questions or whatever doubt you had is now clarified. There is another reason why you read the textbook before the lecturer talks or lectures on it in the classroom. You know what to write and what not to write in your notes. If there is something that the lecturer is saying that is already in the textbook, don't write it in your notebook. Simply say, see textbook page number. Have the book open when he or she is talking about it. So it's a waste of time to write what is in the book, right? So if it is already in the book, listen to the lecturer, understand what he or she is saying, but don't waste your time writing it in your notebook. Simply put the topic title, what the topic is, and say see textbook. That's all I'm going to talk about. I have a few small things, but they are not important. While I'm looking at it, you can go ahead and ask your questions.
You said that we can get 30% more marks by using these techniques.
That's okay. I have given this talk to about 10 students so far. The first student I talked about is one of our relatives in Bangalore. He is now in an engineering college. He is in the first year. I talked to him. There was some type of problem in the house because mother was telling the student to study all the time because she was worried about his admission to engineering college. But the student had different ideas. So by talking to the mother and the son separately, I resolved their problem. I told the mother that a person like that is not worried about studies. His main worry is his friends. He doesn't want to be thought to be dumb by his friends, right? He wants to show them that he can play the games they play. He wants to show them that he can do the things they can do and so on, right? That's his number one concern. He doesn't want to be considered stupid by his friends or a bookworm by his friends. So the mother or father has to let him do some things of his own he wants to do or she wants to do. This is what I talked about, looking at the same thing from different points of view. Now I'm looking at the problem they have from his point of view. I'm also looking at it from mother's point of view. So once the mother understands his point of view, then she's going to give him less trouble. Not talk to him every day about studying, but talk to him once a week or once a month about studying. Now, coming back to the student, I told all these things to him. He developed the habit of flashcards and he is still using it now. He's in first year of engineering. I bought him, in fact, a big package of this with 1,000 sheets in it, 1,000 or more than that. It was a big box that was sold in the bookstore. It was about 8 inches in height and about 1 foot in width, so several thousand sheets like this. He used only some of them and he now has the balance of them with him in the college. And he told me just last week, I was in Bangalore in his father's house and I had a telephone call with him and he said he is still using them. He has taken these sheets with him and he is still using them. He is the one who told me that when he started using these memory enhancing techniques I talked about, next year I went to Bangalore. So they took me out to a good restaurant, very good restaurant. It costs about 1,500 rupees for a dinner. There are about 100 dishes you can eat. So that's the reward I got by talking to them. A talk like this has to have jokes also, so that's part of the light movement in the talk. So he told me next year when I asked him, I asked him, do you follow all the things I talked about, long-term memory? He said, yes, and flashcards he is still using. The next student I talked to was one of our relatives in Madurai. She was studying chemistry. She was a good Bharatanatyam dancer, but she was not doing well. And I talked to her about this. Now she has graduated with her degree in chemistry. Now she is doing master's degree in Bharatanatyam. She also told that all these things are useful to her. And I can tell you that they were extremely effective for me. When I wrote the TOEFL exam, test of English as foreign language, my rank in worldwide was 99.77 percentile. That means only 0.23% of the people who wrote the TOEFL exam that year had a better score than I had. So all these things have been extremely valuable to me. My sons have followed them because I talked to them about all these things as well. And they were also number 1 in their high school when they graduated. And they also got a tuition-free scholarship for the college. So for many people it has proved to be effective. So if you are a student, I recommend that out of 10 or 15 good information I gave you, you follow at least a few of them, at least 4 or 5 of them. It will help you. I don't know how long I took, but I think it's close to 40 or 50 minutes now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop and open it for more questions.
Sir,
I believe in everything that I told you.
what is time management?
Time management is extremely important because as a parent, I have to allocate some time for my wife. I had 2 kids in house, so I had to help them also with studies. Plus I was department chair for some time, so I have to plan my work, I have to teach my classes. I also did consulting work, I published papers, I have presented and published papers, probably about 300 to 400 of them over a 45-year time period. My resume is about 32 pages long. So I have lot of different activities. So I will have a goal as to what all I want to do each week or each month. And based on that, I will assign my time. For example, if I watch TV, I will determine before I turn on the TV that I'm going to watch it only for half an hour or 1 hour, that's it. Once that time is up, I'm going to get up and do something else.
So you won't be tempted?
Pardon? There will be temptations. There will be temptations. So this is what, I have a graph here. I didn't show it, I'm glad you asked me a question. This graph I didn't talk about. What I have on the vertical axis is dollar per year you need to be successful. If you have a family of 4 in US, in my opinion, I need to have an income of $100,000 per year or more. I don't know about India, but I put approximately 2 lakhs per month. That's what I put here. That is when you are about 30 or 40 years old. And over a period of time, your needs may be 5 lakhs per year per month if the sons are going to college. That's what you need, that's what you wish. In my opinion, that's what a family of 4 needs to buy what you want, whenever you want. Burn 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees on stupid buying or saris or something else you want to buy, or radio or TV you want to buy. I call money that you burn, something like the crackers you buy for Diwali time, and so on. So if you want to have that, if you have that much of money, you can spend on whatever you want, anytime you want, without worrying about your bills. If you don't use your abilities, if you don't use your brain, if you don't use your body in a proper way to educate yourself, train yourself to get the experience you want, your capability to earn will be only 50,000 rupees per month, but you need 2 lakhs to be happy. The difference between 50,000 rupees per month and 2 lakhs per month is what I call as the frustration gap. So a person wants to live a life where he or she wants to drive, say, Toyota Innova. The person has a desire to drive Toyota Innova. That requires a certain income, but the person didn't use the brain, had the desires, distractions, followed the mind wherever it leads. That person now is earning only 50,000 rupees per month. The difference between 2 lakhs and 50,000 rupees per month is 1.5 lakhs. That I call as the frustration gap. The more frustration gap, he is going to hit his kids, hit his wife, kick his dogs, have fights with neighbors, and so on. The more the frustration gap, more the problems he will have. So as a young person, you have 2 choices. You sacrifice your pleasure now so that when you are 60 or 73, like I am, you have more money than you can spend. Now I don't have to depend on anyone. I have money that will last more than my lifetime. I don't have to worry about, I don't have to care anything about what some relative says about me. I can tell them, go to hell. Basically, that's what I'm saying. So if you leave your mind to distract, if you let your mind watch 2 hours of TV instead of half an hour of TV, this is what is going to happen to that person. The frustration gap is going to be more when that person is old. So this is what you have to realize. I have it here. You pay the price now by spending your time usefully, or you pay the price later on in your life. But you are going to pay the price sometime. You are going to pay the price sometime. Okay, anything else? Yeah.
Multitasking is it good or not?
Which one?
Multitasking.
Multitasking has proven to be very ineffective. So it's impossible for you to study while watching TV. The only thing that I'm going to change or modify my answer is music. Not vocal music, but instrumental music, light music, background music, mainly to block out the other distractions. So listening to music is the only exception I will provide, but otherwise you will have to concentrate on one. I don't know how many of you see this advertisement for Toyota products. It's called Being in the Groove. There will be a ball that they will put on the crack that on the joint between the bonnet and the body that will roll down. That's called being in the groove. And in the sports terminology, it's also called visualization. For example, a high jumper is going to visualize what he is going to do or she is going to do from the time the person starts. They will know how many steps they will take to go to the bar, at what distance, which foot they will put, left foot or right foot, and then jump and then clear the bar. Whatever they are going to do, they are going to visualize in their mind. Is that clear? It's called being in the groove. That's what we say in the United States. Being in the groove, that means you are visualizing. This is done by all experts, whether it's a musician or a sportsman or a surgeon or engineer or anybody in any technical field or medical field, they always do that. They visualize what they are going to do. So when you actually do that, you get it right. Now, to be able to do that, you have to concentrate on only one thing, that's it. Nothing else can interfere with that.
Change roles. So what is considered activity discussions, so you are engaged with the activities. But you also have situations that constantly the other role comes in between this time and you can only really manage.
Okay, that is called compartmentalization. For example, when I am a department chair or when my son is a manager, now he manages 5 people. My wife also is a middle-level manager. They have 10 people. If these are the 4 people I see in the morning, if you come at 8 o'clock to my office, if we do have a problem or hot words between us, I cannot carry that in my next meeting at 9 o'clock with him. I have to learn to compartmentalize what happened from 8 to 9 and leave it there and go. So my wife is an engineer and I have done a lot of consulting work for many different companies, and also for a lawyer I have been expert witness in liability cases. So I have learned to compartmentalize. So we will never discuss our problems at home. Whatever problem she has in the office, her job is a job that stays there. My job, because it's consulting work, will come home, but I won't tell her about any of my problems. My problems are my problems. But if we have a common problem in the house, that we will talk about. But there is no reason for me to talk about my consulting problem with client number 1 or client number 2. That's my problem. I'm going to solve it.
You are very strict with tasks spillovers also.
Pardon?
Tasks spillover from one thing to other. Because if you consider working with one department for 2 hours, but still I get calls from the other department. You get a call, you ask for something, you get emails. You have
Okay, so you have to prioritize. I strategize is one I told you before. This is also called prioritization. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's assume that instead of a department, you are dealing with a business. You have a business. If you have a call from the customer who is giving you a business 2 crores per year business, that call you are going to take no matter what you are doing. Even if you are talking to your wife, you are going to tell your wife, I have a call, I will call you back. You are going to talk to the customer because that customer gives you 2 crores per month. If there is a call at the same time or immediately after that from a customer who gives only 1 lakh per month business, you are not going to take that call. You are going to tell the person, right now I am busy, I'll call you back in 1 hour. You are going to tell the person. So you will have to be confident about your value of your time, how you are going to spend it. For some people you are going to spend immediately, for some others you are going to tell them to wait, that's it. So you will have to make that judgment, but you will have to. For example, if my wife comes and tells me something, I will tell her, okay, I'm working on a conference paper, it has to go out tomorrow. Right now I don't have time to talk about it, we'll talk about it tomorrow. That's it. But you have to let somebody know why you are doing it. Or you have to know yourself why you are doing it. If it's a wife, you have to explain. For a customer, you don't have to explain. 2 crore per year business, per month customer, you're going to respond immediately. Or you're going to tell somebody else in your department to respond immediately. That's called prioritization. Do a web search on Pareto analysis and prioritization. Pareto, P-A-R-E-T-O, Pareto analysis or prioritization. Out of all the customers you have, 20% of your customers will be extremely important to you. They give you 80% of your income. 20% of your customers give you 80% of your income. They are important to you. Yeah, that's the same thing. That's called the Pareto principle. It can be it was originally applied in economics, but now you can apply it in engineering, you can apply it in quality engineering, you can apply it in management, you can apply it in customer relationship, you can apply it in a lot of different fields, 80-20 principle, that's what it is. So you have to know the principle and you have to apply it and you have to be bold enough, confident enough to apply it. Anything else you can talk about? My field is wide, very wide. You can know that by the way I have responded to questions related to many different activities or businesses and so on. So you are welcome to talk about anything, any question that you can ask. Sure, go ahead and ask as many as you want.
Sir, what's your view about general reading? That means books on other than your own subject.
General instructions, general reading. Okay, that depends on your age. So I'm going to give you some examples about myself. 62 to 68. My number 1 reading book was Ian Fleming, James Bond books. My second one was Perry Mason books. Number 3 was Agatha Christie books. And number 4 was Isaac Asimov. I don't know whether you have heard about science fiction or not. And then there are some authors I don't remember, but Alistair MacLean. There is a movie called Ice Station Zebra where Eagles Dare and so on. They are all based on Alistair MacLean books. And there are a few authors like this. So those were my interests from 68 to, I will say 60s, 70s and 80s also. But right now my interests are also very wide, extremely wide. If you want me to order them, right now I'm more interested in Saiva Siddhanta books. There are 14 Sastragal, Saiva Siddhanta Sastragal, starting from Ekandar. Savingana Bodham, Irupa Iruvade, those type of books, those are 14 of them. Mainly because what we practice in Ainuravar is based on Saiva Siddhanta principles. Pati Pasu Pasam, but it goes a lot more deeper than that in Saiva Siddhanta. So that's my number 1 interest. So I have listened to, the best talk on all these is by Pallava Rayan. You can do a web search or YouTube search on that. And he has got extremely good classes on some of these. The next one is Sivakumar Ayya. Not the actor Sivakumar, but Sivakumar Ayya from either Madurai or Chennai. He has also given good talks on that. Then my next interest is Tirumandiram and Tirumuregal. And it has been shown that whatever is in Saiva Siddhanta, Sastragal, they are called Sastragal. Tirumuregal is different from Sastra Nulgal, 14 Sastra Nulgal. Whatever is in Tirukural and Tirumuregal is also in the Saiva Siddhantam. Saiva Siddhantam Nools or books were written somewhere between 6th century and 14th or 15th century. But Tirumandaram goes to 3rd or 4th century also. It predates the Saiva Siddhanta Shastra. But whatever is there in this also. And same thing if you take Tirumara, you will see that what one person said in one song, another person has said the same thing in another song in a different way. And the same thing is then Saiva Siddhantam in another way. It's also there in Sanskrit also, literature also. So one interesting question for me is, how did Manikvasagar know what Appar said or somebody else said in some song? Because in those days the books were not available that often. And two of them were contemporaries, they lived at the same time. So what one person sang in one temple 100 miles away or 500 miles away, it would have taken several months for that to reach another temple. But in the meantime, the other person has sung exactly the same song, almost the same words, with the same meanings and so on. The question is how? How did they do that? One way to explain that will be everything came from Sivaparman, so they had a common source for that. That's one explanation. But there can be others too. So these are some of the things I'm talking about now. But now I also read books by other authors. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, that book written, the author has written Devils and Demons and so on. So those type of books. Then the person who wrote the 2001 Space Odyssey has also written the latest book that's called Hammer of God. And there are science fiction books that I read, and I also read books by Subramaniam, Indian author. He has written books on banking. What is the other guy who read about college life? Two States. Who wrote the book? Chetan Bhagat. I have read all those books. Those are trash books, I will say, at one extreme. So I read trash books. Chetan Bhagat is a trash book. At the same time, at the other extreme, Saiva Siddhantam is a religious book, highly philosophical book. So in between, I read everything. But remember that there is a saying, Kalavam Katrumara. So trash, when you read, you get the pleasure, you forget it immediately.
Move it to short-term memory.
Yeah, that's right. It's in the short-term memory. But I read Chetan Bhagat only once. I'm glad you brought that up. But Saiva Siddhanta books, Shastri, I have all the 14 of them. I have already read them 5 to 10 times, some of them. But still I don't understand many of them. Even after 10 times, I don't understand many of them. When I listen to there is Sudha Seshasaya. Yeah. And then there is Sivakumar, he has a lot of talks. Pallava Rayan, many talks. Like this I have about Visaga Sagi, Visaga Hari. Like that there are good talkers. I listen to all of them. I told you to read different books, many books on the same topic. So I have listened to all of them on the same topic, Tirumandaram. Tirumandaram I have listened to many of these YouTubes. Saiva Siddhantam I have listened to about 4 or 5 different people. So I get different ideas. Even in spite of listening to all these, even after reading the books 10-15 times, I don't understand many of them. So I have to keep on reading many more times. Maybe another 10-15 years, maybe I will understand. So I read everything. I read trash and I read religious books also. Trash gives me pleasure. The religious books give me a thinking power. Thinking why did they say this, or what did they mean by this? The question is whether do I believe in what they say or not. In general, my policy is don't believe anybody. Anything, everybody. Here, if I have to do business with you, my first assumption for doing business with you will be I don't trust you. If I know you for maybe 5 years or 10 years, maybe I will develop the trust. Don't believe but verify. Don't trust but verify. That's a rule. I don't believe anything that I read unless I think about it. Important information for all of you. Even textbooks have wrong information. Because textbooks are obsolete, the day they are published, they are obsolete because they are now already 1 or 2 years old. So don't believe in everything you read. You think about it. After you analyze it, if it is clear to you that what they said is right, then you accept it. Otherwise, no. So I read Students Vedanta. So right now, I'm in the question of arguing with them or discussing with them. Why did they say it? What did they mean by it? Is it really true or not? It'll take me some more time. Introspection and review and arguments and my own. So I discuss with myself. That's how I move information from short-term memory to long-term memory. Analyze, discussion and thinking about it. That also moves information from short-term memory to long-term memory.
What will be your advice to youngsters regarding general books?
Regarding
General books.
general books, for them, young person like that, they should be reading now their textbook. That's their primary goal. Anything related to the textbook is secondary one. Third one must be newspapers, because they need to have the general knowledge, because all these entrance exams and others have some information about politics or army or navy or what submarines we have, what is the name for the probably most recent nuclear submarine or and so on, or what is the name for the most recently launched ICBM. Can any of you say? Yeah, no, right now they launched it, they tested an ICBM, Agni 5 I think. So I read newspaper. In India when I come I read Tamil and English newspapers, not 1 or 2, so they should be reading newspaper. They should be at least listening to news, national news. And they should know about, they should be reading and doing what their friends do. Because if I am with my friends, I don't want to be considered dumb by them. When they talk about a TV show or something, I want to say something that is intelligent, and I don't want them to think I know only books. But they have infinite capacity. That's the reason why you have to do whatever you do, you have to do it right first time you do. Because you don't have time for all these different things if you keep on doing everything 2 times or 3 times. Okay, that's good. Thanks for the opportunity. I hope some of the younger guys here will at least use at least one of the ideas I gave you. The more ideas you use, better off you are going to be. I can guarantee that if you use all of them, you will become better than I am when you are 73 years old. I can guarantee you that. They have proved very valuable to me. Thank you for your time. And for some of the elderly gentlemen and ladies here, try to pass this on to all the youngsters you come across. Thank you for your time.
We thank Dr. S. Balachandran for giving such a useful lecture. It will be useful to not only the students of schools and colleges, also for students of Vedanta, Sanskrit, Students Vedanta and all things. We thank him for giving his time for us. We thank all of you for coming. Thank you very much.
One request. We request our sir to come some more time after his convenience.
Yeah, whenever we visit Coimbatore, we request you to address a meeting in our trust.
Sure.
Any general topic like this.
Yeah, any topic will be fine, but I will have, depending on the topic, I will have to know at least. This one is a topic that I have talked about many times.
Give some time space.
So if you want me to talk, for example, on Thirumandiram, you have to give me at least a month time.
Not
So,
necessarily Thirumandiram, any topic.
No, only for students.
no, depending on the
Yeah.
students, I can talk to them anytime, but
Yeah.
but you have to come up with a topic as to
Yeah.
what you want me to talk about.
Oh yes.
You're welcome.